When archaeologists dig into the earth, they're searching for treasures and lost civilizations. But sometimes, they uncover something far more disturbing. Sometimes they find evidence of humanity's darkest moments, preserved in bone and stone for thousands of years. Today, we're looking at discoveries so terrifying, they'll make you question everything you thought you knew about human nature. Let's start in Germany, in a place called Herxheim. In the early 2000s, archaeologists were excavating a Neolithic settlement when they found something that made even seasoned professionals feel sick. Surrounding the ancient village were a series of pits, and inside those pits were the remains of at least 1,000 people. But these weren't normal burials. Every single skeleton had been systematically butchered. The bones showed clear evidence of being scraped clean of meat, and many had bite marks. This wasn't warfare. This was cannibalism on an industrial scale. The victims came from hundreds of miles away, some traveling over 300 miles before meeting their end here. Men, women, children, even newborns were among the dead. But the most disturbing part? The skulls. Researchers found that the majority of skulls had been split perfectly down the middle, creating two symmetrical halves. They weren't just killing these people. They were turning their skulls into cups to drink from. The evidence suggests this wasn't a one-time event, but a long-running operation, possibly a cult that kidnapped victims from across Europe and brought them here for ritualistic murder and consumption. Now travel back even further to 850,000 years ago in Spain. At a site called Atapuerca, in a cavern level designated TD6, archaeologists found the butchered remains of 11 early hominins. Over 30% showed clear signs of cannibalism, with cut marks indicating every scrap of meat had been scraped from the bones. Here's what makes this discovery truly sickening. Not a single adult was found among the victims. Every single one was a child or teenager. More than half were under 10 years old. This wasn't survival cannibalism during a famine. Analysis of the site showed the environment was stable, with plenty of animal remains nearby. These ancient humans specifically hunted children because they were easier to kill and couldn't fight back. One young victim had even been decapitated, likely while still alive. This is the oldest evidence of cannibalism in the human genus, and it shows that targeting the most vulnerable among us has been part of our species' story from the very beginning. In 2023, archaeologists in Egypt made an unusual discovery. It's an ancient courtyard belonging to the Hyksos dynasty, in 3 pits. Inside were 12 covered hands, just hands and nothing else. Further investigation revealed these had been removed from living or recently enemies and presented to the pharaoh as proof of moving to South America. In 1999, archaeologists made a heartbreaking discovery on top of Mount Uawa in Argentina. At an altitude of 22,000 feet, they found 3 children frozen perfectly in time. A 15-year-old girl, a 7-year-old girl, and a 6-year-old boy. They had been dead for 500 years, sacrificed by the Inca in a ceremony called Capacocha. Hair analysis revealed these children had been specially selected and prepared for months. They were fed elite diets to fatten them up and given coca leaves and alcohol to keep them docile. They knew what was coming. Then they were dressed in the finest clothes and forced to walk to the top of this mountain. An impossible journey for children at that altitude. Once at the summit, drugged and oxygen deprived, they were left to freeze to death alone. The 15-year-old, called La Doncella or the Maiden, was found sitting upright with her head bowed, so perfectly preserved that she looks like she could wake up. CT scans show her organs are still intact. Scientists could identify her last meal. The coca and alcohol in her system kept her sedated, but she was likely still conscious as hypothermia slowly shut down her body. Her parents gave her willingly, considering it an honor. But looking at her face, frozen for 5 centuries, all you can see is a child who died terrified and alone on top of a frozen mountain. These discoveries force us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Violence, cruelty, and the capacity for unspeakable acts aren't anomalies in human history. They're patterns that repeat across every culture, every continent, and every era. From the skull cups of Herxheim to the child sacrifices of the Andes, from the hand pits of ancient Egypt to the cannibalized children of Atapuerca, the archaeological record doesn't lie. It shows us exactly what humans are capable of when fear, faith, greed, or hunger takes control. These aren't just old bones and ancient stories. These were real people who suffered and died in ways that still disturb us thousands of years later. And perhaps the most terrifying discovery of all is simply this: we haven't changed as much as we'd like to think. You're floating in darkness, warm and wet, cramped against something soft. You wiggle your tiny shark body and bump into your siblings. There's 3 of you in here, all squeezed together in your mother's womb like sardines in a can. Everything feels safe until your brother suddenly lunges sideways. No warning, no reason, just pure instinct. Her blood clouds the water around you as her lifeless body drifts. Your brother turns and stares at you with those cold black eyes. You're next if you look weak or tasty enough. This is intrauterine cannibalism, and it happens to every megalodon before they're even born. Only the most aggressive embryos make it out alive. Welcome to life as a megalodon, where even your own family tries to murder you before you see daylight. A few weeks pass and your mother's body starts contracting. She's squeezing you out like she's taking the biggest dump of her life. You shoot out into the open ocean at 6 feet long, already the size of a full-grown man. You spin around looking for mom because you're confused and scared, but she's already swimming away without even a glance back. She's gone forever. No teaching you how to hunt, no protection from predators, nothing. You're completely alone in an ocean that wants you dead. Your stomach growls immediately. You've never eaten before and you have no idea what food even looks like. You chase after a small fish but miss completely and faceplant into a rock. A squid squirts ink all over your gills. A crab watches from below, probably wondering how you're even alive. Eventually you corner a sea turtle and crush its 100-year-old shell between your jaws. Blood fills the water and you rip it to shreds while nearby fish scatter in terror. This is your life now. Hunt or starve. Kill or die. Every single day you need to eat massive amounts of food just to survive. We're talking 2,500 pounds of meat daily. Your metabolism is a curse because you can't stop swimming. Sharks don't have swim bladders like other fish, so if you stop moving you sink and drown. Swimming burns calories, which makes you hungrier, which means more hunting, which means more swimming. It's an endless, exhausting loop that never stops until you're dead. You spend weeks tracking a pod of whales across miles of open ocean. You stalk them from below, waiting for the perfect moment. One of them lags behind and you see your chance. You rocket up from the darkness with your jaws opened wide, revealing 276 serrated teeth arranged in 5 rows. Each tooth is 7 inches long, sharp as a steak knife. You slam into the whale's belly with enough force to shatter its ribs. Your teeth punch through blubber and muscle like it's butter. The whale thrashes and screams, but you bite down harder, splitting it in half. Chunks of meat and blood cloud the water as the baby whales scatter away, screaming for their dead mother. You swallow half the whale in 3 bites and you're still hungry an hour later. This happens hundreds of times throughout your life. You murder everything you see. Seals, dolphins, other sharks, even other megalodons when you're desperate enough. You grow fast, stretching past 30 feet, then 40, then eventually 60 feet long. You're as long as a 6-story building lying sideways. You're the apex predator of the entire ocean. Nothing alive can challenge you in a straight fight. But here's the problem with being at the top. You're completely alone. No other creature wants anything to do with you. You have 0 friends, 0 family bonds, 0 social interaction. Then one day the water starts getting cold. Really cold. You surface and see white ice covering the land. A squirrel jams an acorn into a crack and causes a massive avalanche. The ice age has begun and you don't even understand what's happening. Your comfortable hunting grounds shrink smaller and smaller as ice spreads across the ocean. The whales you love to eat migrate toward the equator where it's warmer. You follow them, but so does every other predator. Now you're competing with thousands of other megalodons for the same shrinking food supply. Worse, these new smaller sharks start appearing everywhere. They're half your size but twice as fast. They need way less food and they thrive in cold water that makes you sluggish and miserable. You watch one of these proto-great whites zip past and steal a tuna right from under your nose. You try to chase it, but you're too slow, too big, too outdated. Your body starts breaking down. You lose muscle mass. Your powerful tail strokes become weak and pathetic. Hunting takes more energy than the food gives back. You chase a seal for 10 minutes and miss. You're starving now, really starving. Days pass without food, then weeks. You try eating a rotten whale carcass floating on the surface. It's not enough. Your teeth fall out faster than they grow back. Old scars reopen. Parasites cover your skin. You sink to the ocean floor because you're too exhausted to swim anymore. Above you, those smaller, faster sharks dart around without fear. You're dying and they know it. Your species is down to the last few individuals scattered across a frozen ocean. The megalodon is extinct, killed not by competition or predators but by your own biology that demanded too much in a world that stopped providing. The great white shark inherits your throne because evolution doesn't reward the biggest. It rewards the most adaptable.